watching the Daily Roundup by People's Dispatch, where we bring you some of the top stories from around the world. Let's take a look at the headlines. 21 dead, dozens missing in multiple migrant boat tragedies. Canada education workers to strike on Friday over wage issues. Right-wing groups attack town in Bolivia as unions reject strike. Arab League reaffirms support for Palestine. 21 people have died and more than 30 people are missing or feared dead in two separate incidents of migrant boats sinking in the Aegean Sea on Monday, October 31st. The Greek authorities, who have launched search operations near the islands of Evia and Andros, said on Wednesday that 20 bodies have been recovered near Evia. Authorities were alerted about the boat sinking by a distress call on Tuesday morning. The rescue operations were carried out with one helicopter, one Coast Guard patrol boat, and two ships present nearby. The Coast Guard later said that in the first 2 days of the rescue operations, they found 9 people alive on an uninhabited islet between the two islands. They found 3 more people alive on Wednesday. According to survivors of one of the boats, there were a total of 68 people on board when the boat started its ill-fated journey from Izmir on the Turkish coast. In addition to the 2 sinking incidents on Monday, authorities reported that a separate incident involving an inflatable dinghy sinking occurred in the Eastern Aegean Sea. Search and rescue operations in this incident are currently still ongoing off the coast of the Greek island of Stamos. The operations are being conducted with the help of a Coast Guard aircraft, a patrol boat, 2 ships and another vessel belonging to the European Border Patrol Agency Frontex. 7 migrants who were on the dinghy are still missing. 4 Palestinian survivors of the dinghy were rescued on Monday, with the authorities later recovering 1 body as well. Since 2014, more than 29,000 migrants have died in these kinds of unfortunate tragedies while they were trying to reach Europe from Africa or Asia. In 2021 alone, the number of migrants who died in their attempts to enter Europe was 5,684, according to statistics from the International Organization of Migration, or IOM. Even though these sea journeys are fraught with danger and involve extreme peril, tens of thousands of migrants nevertheless try to reach Europe in the hope of a better life and better economic and employment opportunities. Tens of thousands of Canadian education workers in the province of Ontario will go on strike indefinitely on Friday, the union representing the workers said on Wednesday, November 2nd. Roughly 55,000 workers, including childhood educators, educational assistants, custodians, librarians, and administrative assistants belonging to the Canadian Union of Public Employees, the CUPE, will participate in the strike to protest the Ontario government's upcoming legislation that aims to make strikes illegal. Workers have additionally been embroiled in a dispute with the government over wage issues. They have been asking for a 11.7% wage hike along with a higher rate of overtime pay, increased benefits and additional preparation time. The government has in response offered workers a 4-year deal which gives a 2.5% annual raise to workers making less than 43,000 Canadian dollars per year and a 1.5% raise for all others. This latest offer is a marginal increase from the government's earlier offer of a 2% raise per year for workers making less than $40,000 and 1.2% for all others. Workers have stood firm on their demand for an 11.7% wage hike, with reports noting that it not only takes into account the current inflation rate of approximately 7% in Canada, but is also meant to compensate for a decade's worth of frozen wages. Before announcing their decision to strike, the CUPE did send the government a counter-offer as part of their negotiations over the wage issue. However, the government rejected the offer and refused to engage in negotiations until the unions cancelled any potential strike plans. Additionally, the government, as part of its bill titled Keeping Students in Class Act, has tried to impose its own contracts on the education workers. The CUPE has said that it will fight this bill with whatever options it has and will continue to oppose and protest it even if the government succeeds in outlawing strikes. Even though the workers have a constitutional right to strike, the government with this bill is planning to circumvent it by using the notwithstanding clause, which allows the government to override constitutional guarantees for a 5-year period. Moving on to our third story, members of the right-wing opposition group Cruzanista Youth Union, or the UJC, along with supporters of the right-wing governor of Santa Cruz, Luis Fernando Camacho, on Wednesday, November 2nd, invaded the town of La Guardia. They additionally attacked the local police with live firearms, projectiles, stones, and homemade explosives, and they looted the police headquarters, damaging 6 patrol cars. They reportedly temporarily took over the LaGuardia police command. 1 police officer received bullet injuries during the attack. Authorities later said that 9 people were arrested for being involved in the armed attack. The violent attacks came as the entire provincial administration of Santa Cruz, headed by the governor, is staging a strike against the Bolivian central government of President Luis Arce. Reports additionally noted that the attacks were perpetrated amid the central government sending a delegation to Santa Cruz to start negotiations with the right-wing administration for ending the strike and work stoppage in the province. The strike and associated work stoppage has severely disrupted social and economic activities in the area and have caused widespread suffering and hardships for the local residents in all spheres of life. The primary reason because of which the strike was launched and for the broader right-wing opposition to the government is the upcoming national census. The opposition wants the census to be conducted in 2023, whereas the government plans to hold it in 2024. However, the opposition does not enjoy widespread popular support for its actions against the government. This was made clear again yesterday when several unions in Santa Cruz staged demonstrations to register the opposition and rejection to the administration's strike. The protesters demanded that the administration agrees to enter into talks with the central government to find a way to end its strike, which has now been going on for the last 12 days. The demonstrators noted the harm that is being caused by the strike to the working class, including those who are self-employed. They demanded the resignation of the governor if he continues to ignore his official duties and leave the whole province without any governance. And finally, the 2-day Arab League summit concluded on Wednesday, November 3rd, with the Algiers Declaration reiterating the centrality of the Palestinian issue and criticizing Israel's continued violations of international humanitarian laws and blockade of Gaza. The declaration further pledged to protect the sites in Jerusalem from all kinds of Israeli aggression. It acknowledged the centrality of the Palestinian cause and full support for the rights of Palestinian people, including the right to freedom and self-determination and the right to return. It called full adherence of the rights of Palestinian refugees as per the UNGA Resolution 194 of 1948. The League Summit, which was held for 2 days, was attended by the heads of 16 states out of 22 under the leadership of Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. The Leadership Summit was held in the physical form after a gap of 2 years. Saudi Arabia and the UAE sent their representatives, whereas Morocco did not participate due to its ongoing disagreements with Algeria over the issue of Western Sahara. The declaration demanded lifting of Israel's blockade of the Gaza Strip and condemned its continued violence against Palestinians and violations of their human rights. It further demanded that Israel release all the Palestinians in its jails and stop extrajudicial killings and arbitrary arrests. It called for the recognition of Palestine as independent state and international support to Palestinian efforts to hold Israel accountable for its war crimes in the occupied territories. Coming to other global issues, the League decided to maintain its neutral stance over the war in Ukraine and also supported the OPEC Plus decision to cut global oil production by 2 million barrels per day, claiming that it was necessary for protecting the interests of oil-producing and consuming countries. The summit declaration condemned all foreign interventions in the region and supported political resolutions based on national reconciliation in the war-affected countries in the region, such as Libya, Syria, and Yemen. Reports additionally noted that Syria chose to not participate due to disagreements among the rest of the members over its suspension due to the ongoing war in the country. And that's all we have for today's episode. For more such stories, visit our website peoplesdispatch.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.